My name is Scott Cooney. I started Clean Technica to promote clean energy and other sustainable alternatives, and for 13 years we've been moving markets. If we had a nickel for every time someone told us they bought their first EV, solar, e-bike, or fill in the blank clean energy solution, we'd be a cable TV channel by now. But we don't get those nickels. So unfortunately, we could use your help to reach a few more people. If just 1% of our audience chipped in a few bucks a month, we could hire dozens of great journalists and promote all sorts of climate solutions. It's easy. Just go to cleantechnica.com/support and sign up with a credit card in seconds. Cancel anytime. But we'll be sending out some cool perks too, so I think you'll want to stick around. With your support, we'll keep leading the charge. Thank you so much.
All right, we're here for another episode of EV Obsession. Joe Boris is out of Chicago, got kicked out for definitely inappropriate behavior. Oh, he's
Yes,
down in
actually,
Austin, Texas for this MOVE conference, which we might talk about, or we have a lot of news after a 3-day weekend here, so we'll see what we can get to. But let's just jump into it. First of all, I need to get the screen share going, right? You want to say anything about your lack of electricity in the Hilton in the ERCOT utility district of Texas?
no. I will say this. It's interesting coming to an e-mobility type of event in a city that is really a true leader in e-mobility and in multimodal transportation in terms of having, good bike lanes, e-bike benefits, electric scooter rebates, and to see that, power can get knocked out of a major hotel because of a nasty windstorm. I mean, it's possible, but it's also
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah,
I
didn't
feel like
have
that wouldn't
electricity.
happen somewhere else.
Like at check-in time, there's no electricity. And I was like, no electricity in a Hilton hotel? I was like,
Yeah,
this sounds very guess we can't say third world anymore, developing world. And I was like, this
it's
is
very
weird.
post-apocalyptic. Yes.
And then hours later, I was like, oh, it must be like 15-minute blip. How long was it's like
No, it was. I got to the hotel originally at like 10:30 in the morning, and power was out, and it was already 90 something degrees. And it wasn't until about 6:30 that I got checked in.
so like
So
all
I
day,
just,
no
yeah,
electricity
I
at a
just,
Hilton in Austin, Texas. This is
yeah,
bonkers, but that's a ERCOT free market utility district for you. Let's move on to EVs. They could use some for sure flexible EV battery storage, virtual power plants, which they
yeah.
are
Some
starting to
some V
develop.
to G could have helped them out yesterday.
Yeah, V to G, V to J, J to G, all of it. J being
All
Joe,
the
of course.
letters and numbers.
Yes. So to start off, well, last week the episode we did was about the quarterly EV sales report for the US that I created, and quarterly EV sales, full electric BEV sales were up 147% compared to 2021 over 2 years. I also do a quarterly US auto industry sales report. Again, I collect the data from all the automakers. I just have to estimate Tesla and then put it all together. And what I do differently from others is I don't just compare to last year. I compare it to the year before that, and the year before that. Especially because of COVID, it just messed everything up. So 2019 was like the last normal year.
Sure.
And so if I think the best for like trying to get a sense of, hey, how do we compare this quarter to a normal year? We have to go back to 2019. It's getting a little bit busy. Five years, like it's just a little bit too much, some of these charts, but this one is good because this one shows just how bonkers the last 4 years have been. I mean, last 5 years have been. So compared to 2019, Q2 2023 sales were down 370,000 units. So again, this is basically saying, like, compared to a normal year, US auto sales are down pretty
Right.
significantly. They're up enormously against Q2 2020 when the whole world was shut down and nobody was buying anything except for toilet paper if they could find it, and hand sanitizer. And so it's just warped. And the next year, 2021, was the big bounce back year when everything was coming alive again. People could finally get cars. So there was a big like, so compared to that year, sales are down a lot. And then last year was a normalish year, like getting normalish, right? So
Yeah.
sales are up 360,000 compared to last year. But there's a lot holding sales down. There's, you know, the interest rates, there's economic uncertainty, there's the fact that people did buy a ton of cars just a couple of years ago. So
Yeah, well, and critically, a lot of people leased those cars, right? Because the payments are getting out of hand. So they try to go to the leasing route to reduce the monthly payment. And then that puts them now, forces them into the new car market again as we start getting into 2023. But what I really like about this graph is it shows that while the overall market is declining, the EV sales continue to grow. So EVs are getting a bigger and bigger piece of a smaller pie.
yeah, so I opened,
Yeah, there you go.
I went ahead and opened this for you since you said you wanted to compare it. And yeah, so you can see from 2020, I didn't go back to 2019 because the EV market was so weird and young. I mean, it was already you can see 2020, there were almost no non-Tesla sales of BEV.
Right.
It was also harder. BEVs were more like variants of gas cars and they didn't split out sales. So it was harder to know how many there were. But yeah, I mean, you can see the EV market has grown enormously at the same time that the overall auto market has seen an 8% drop in sales since 2019. Or
Yeah, I'd be curious to see specifically Ford F Series and Ram pickup and large full size pickup sales compared to 2019 because I suspect those are down a lot more than 8%. And I'm just guessing on that. That's kind of a gut feeling from other reports that I've seen. But I think the numbers are actually a lot more dire in that full size pickup space because, and the reason I say it's more dire is because those are really the profit centers for the American automakers. That's where they make most of their, you know, like GM made $13 billion profits last year. That would have been a big hit if they weren't making Silverados and Tahoes and things like that.
yeah, and sorry for flipping around, just changing what I think we should focus on first. So I'm trying to go off of that, and basically you can see first here, this is the chart of the top selling automakers in the country. I mean, this is all the this is the automaker sales for last quarter, and Ford is number one, barely ahead of Toyota, and you know, not that far ahead of Chevrolet, but solidly ahead. But those three are clearly in a league of their own. And then you have a big drop to Honda, and then you have another big drop down to Nissan, which I have to say I'm a little surprised it's still fifth, considering it's been bleeding sales for like 5 years. And then you've got Kia and Hyundai.
Nissan still plays in that secondary credit market where it is in many cases significantly easier to finance a Nissan than it is other vehicles. So especially in, let's call it underserved markets or in markets that have a lower overall income, Nissan tends to do really well in terms of sales numbers. I think they probably also have a high repo rate, but I'm just guessing on that.
I think because of your location in the conference room, you can only probably watch, yeah, your fingers on half the screen. But
I'll move it.
You can't lean it on something, right? There's nothing to lean that phone on in that
There's
conference
nothing to. Well, and so let's take a minute to complain about this conference room.
So Joe, you're there to be a speaker or moderator at
I'm here to be a speaker. Yeah. So I'm here to be a speaker at this event. And typically, like when you go to an event like Electrify Expo, or you go to ACT, or you go to SEMA, or you go to the Chicago Auto Show, or you go for media people to work and to have Wi-Fi and to effectively cover the event that you're at. In this case, they have a lounge, quote unquote, which is just tables and sofas, literally in the center of the main event hall. So people are walking behind you. They're trying to do business. There's like 15, it's totally open. There's not even like a cubicle separator. There is zero ability to do work and cover the event. And I'm not saying that necessarily as a complaint, but like, it, you know, I don't understand the logic of bringing all these journalists out here and then not giving them a place to cover your show.
Yeah, it's more praise than a complaint, right? This is more. No,
it's more of a questioning,
it's more of a
and I think
complaint than a complaint.
it's more of a complaint than a question. But I
Yeah,
think it's, I think the logic is
it's
probably
odd.
that they want you to participate and talk to the people that are exhibitors rather than just hide out in the press room.
Mhm.
But it makes it real tough to do
Maybe
your
it's
job
just a
while you're here.
trade-off. If you're gonna have electricity, you can't have a press room. If
You can't have it right, exactly. Well, I'll
yeah,
just go.
but
I'm in the Hilton right next door, so I'll just go upstairs and type, I guess.
so back to the automakers. So you've got Kia and Hyundai doing solidly in the middle there. You got Jeep, pretty good sales there, number 8, and then Tesla is number 9, which I find interesting for a few reasons because it's been in the top 10 for a while now. It's been around that spot. Its sales have grown a lot as we've seen, but this is on the back of the industry rebounding and all that stuff, and it's different readers are taking different takes responding to this. So some are like, oh wait, not that much further, Tesla's next target is probably Nissan. Next big target, big juicy target is Nissan at number 5, sorry, and then it would be in the top 5 of US automakers. Others are like, wow, we talk all about how much Tesla's grown, how much they're selling, and they're way down in number 9. Like, so it's like depends on what, because we do highlight a lot the Model Y being the top selling vehicle in the possibly in the country, the world this year. But it
Yeah.
comes down to the fact that Tesla has 2 real models and 2 Halo cars that not many people can afford. And when you have 2 real mass market models, you're number 9, you're not number 3. So I don't know. I mean, the question is how much they can continue to grow. Well, how much will the Cybertruck boost sales? How much will the other automakers shrink or grow or whatever? But at the moment, it's still notable, especially if you go back 10 years, that we have a full electric auto company number 9 in US auto sales. That's pretty.
Where do you think, honestly, let's say 5 years from now, we're looking at this, because you can just see by the numbers. I mean, the way that math works, they can't continue to grow 50% a year. They
Yeah,
just can't.
well, the argument for Paul Foss has put an argument out there for it, but that's more globally. So they're not just US. I mean, the big thing is the
Sure.
more affordable Tesla. I mean, the Cybertruck, how much that can add, the more affordable Tesla when that comes. I
But how
honestly
much more
can't venture to
affordable
say
can
what I
it
think.
get?
Yeah, I mean, is it going to be the case of like a Model T where it's like, oh, everybody wants, because of the value for the money, they're going to sell as many as they can
No.
produce? I mean, is it the case of the
Value for
Volkswagen Beetle?
money.
Is it
Yeah.
going to eat? I mean, I think a big question, how much will it eat into Model Y and 3 sales too? Like how many people are making a stretch for the Y and 3? And this is just going to spread the sales more, I mean, I can see a lot of different pathways that are possible or viable. I could see it breaking into the top 5. I could see it hanging around where it is. It's just very hard to.
I think top 5 is realistic. I think it gets to the size of Honda, and unless it comes up with a real, again, this whole idea that the way to get more people into EVs is to make a cheaper EV is just fundamentally misunderstanding every single marketing concept that's existed for the last 50 years. People don't want the people around them to think that that's all they could afford. That's why instead of buying,
what's the average sales price right now for
$48,000?
That's what I thought. Yeah. So that's
That's
Model 3.
average.
Yeah, the Model 3 starts at under 40,000.
Yeah.
So you can see they're already around that bell curve a bit.
Well, not only 40,000, but 40,000 before incentives. So now you're talking realistically 35, 33.
Yeah. So then it's
some
really
states,
like
20.
you're already surrounding that bell curve where how
you're
much more
already
can.
there. So what do you?
But I mean, if you get a 20,000, I mean, if you can get a $25,000 Tesla that's like under 20,000 with credits, I mean, there's a lot of people would buy it.
I don't think so, because we've had inexpensive, fuel efficient cars in this country for decades and they don't sell.
but they're not Teslas. And Tesla has this kind of brand, as we've talked about before, where it's like there's a
100%.
lot
But
of
as soon as
people.
Tesla,
There's a lot
but
of
as
people
soon
who
as
would never
Tesla,
buy a new car, but will buy a new cheap Tesla if they can afford one.
I see. I think the opposite. I think a lot of people, if you make if you make the most affordable new car you can buy in the United States a Tesla, that's going to cheapen the brand and it's going to destroy the brand.
Well, that's possible. That's definitely possible, and that might take a few years or whatever. But
It'll
I
take
just
an
think
hour
there's
and
a
a
lot
half.
of people who can't afford a new car, never considered buying a new car because they don't feel like they're in the price range for it, and they'd be like, "Wow, I could actually afford a new Tesla." And I could see
Yeah.
them rising up real quick on the back of that. Whether that hurts their brand and their Model 3 and why, not to mention S and X sales down the road, is questionable. I mean, you're still going to get more for the 3 and the Y, but I just have the feeling, it's just a feeling, because of how many Teslas I see around the place, I just get a feeling like it's getting to a point where people are like, where people with the money for a 3 or Y will be like, oh no, everybody's got one of those. They're
Yeah.
everywhere. And maybe not right now, but maybe in a few years. I don't know. So it's a hard question. Let's move on. Let's go to the, so we talked about Tesla, but I just want to look at the other automakers a bit more, especially since you brought it up about their models, which I don't dive into here, but maybe we can just look at a little bit, just the
No,
change
you can
in
already
sales.
see it. Just look at that. Look at
So
Ford.
this is the change in sales compared to 2019. In the article, there's all compared to all of those years, but I just went back to 2019 for the video for this YouTube. But you can see Tesla went up 116,000 units in the 4 years, 213%. Other climbers in terms of units, Hyundai and Kia, they just have consistently gotten better and better. High
No
quality,
surprise.
affordable cars. Chrysler is in fourth, which shocks me. And it's in second in percentage growth, 50% growth in 4 years. Chrysler, I thought they were dead 4 years ago. Like,
What is
which
what
models?
did they have? Because like you
Yeah,
got to
that's
go
the
back
question.
to 2019. So what did they have in 2019? They had the Voyage or the Pacifica minivan, and they had the 300 sedan. What do they have now?
I honestly can't tell you. We did not prep for Chrysler. I don't know. I mean, I just like, are there some sedans that I don't notice that are getting more popular now, or some Chrysler crossover? I don't know. Are they the ones that make the pink what's that brand that has their pink vehicles? Some
The
kind of,
Mary Kay. Well,
yeah,
no,
Mary
but
Kay.
here's but
Is
but
that
that's not
Chrysler?
Chrysler. Yeah, but that's not Chrysler overall. That's
I don't know.
Chrysler separated from Dodge, separated from Jeep, separated from Alfa Romeo. That's just the brand.
Yeah.
How the hell?
I don't. That was a shocker for me, and I was like, "This is unbelievable." But
I'm gonna
beyond
have
the
to go
price,
to a Chrysler store and see what I can buy. They're probably gonna sell me something. Like, why are
Joe's
people
gonna
buying this?
you're not gonna believe it. I walked out with a new Chrysler, and I'd be like, "Joe, you're
I don't
officially
know.
old." No.
Yeah, right.
So in terms of unit growth, you have Rivian there. That's an interesting one as well. Full electric truck company, because it was zero. It was zero, and it climbed almost 13,000 units to almost 13,000 units. But it's
Lucid is sitting holding steady at 1,000, huh?
what's that?
I said Lucid is holding steady at a
Oh,
1,000.
yeah, Lucid
They
grew by
they didn't
1,400.
expect that.
They're not doing well. I'm not. It's hard to
Well,
believe
hang
they will
on,
survive, but they're backed by Saudi Arabia, so
hang on. Compare that number for the Lucid Air to its true competitors: the BMW 750, the
yeah,
Mercedes-Benz S-Class, the Tesla Model S, and all of a sudden that number doesn't look that bad.
yeah, but they have so far to go to get profitable. But I mean, maybe they'll do it. I don't know.
Yeah, they're
It's a very nice car on the
yeah.
inside. I loved how it looked in pictures. In real life, it's too
It's
flat.
a little flat. It's a little flat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But if you go down to the bottom then, and yeah, like you said, there's Ford has lost the most sales despite being number one. It's lost the most. It's also number one in sales loss. And the Nissan's up there, right? 100,000 units lost.
Yeah.
Honda, Jeep, Dodge, Ram, Toyota, Chevrolet. They're all lost a lot of sales since 2019. This is pre-COVID. So this has nothing to do. I mean, I think we're out of that.
Yeah, from the
effect.
COVID era, Ford has taken the hit.
If you look at percentage loss, Fiat is almost dead. Almost 95% of sales drop.
You can't even buy a Fiat. I mean, what
I
new
don't.
Fiat can you buy in 2024 as a 2023 as a 2024 model year?
I have to think it's leaving the U.S. market. It had 144 sales last quarter.
Yeah, they've got nothing.
I don't know. I mean, they're below Alfa Romeo, below Lucid. I just it's funny because I see a lot of 500s around me. I don't know. There's quite a handful of 500s.
I do too. I
but
think
they're all
they do
older.
really
They're not...
well. Yeah, they're older. Exactly
don't-
right. I think they capitalized. They put all their eggs in the nostalgia basket. And so baby boomers really liked them because they had, they remembered Annette Funicello hopping out of one of these things during the Mickey Mouse Club. But like anybody under 50 years old has no idea what the hell they're talking about.
I see a lot of young people with them though, just because they're cute. But I mean, we can also be susceptible to nostalgia and cute looks. And I thought you were going to say, because it just hit me as you were starting to talk, maybe they benefited a bit from pre-EV era low, high fuel economy, like low. I don't know how good their fuel economy
is. But it wasn't even that good. It was like 40, 39.
Good. 40. So you would think I'm going to buy a small, efficient car, and the Fiat's real cute, so I'll get the Fiat, even though it's not efficient. I think it's just because it was a cute car, but maybe I don't know. I feel like they're just leaving the market, and there's just I don't know. But
I get that feeling funny enough, from Chrysler, that they just don't care anymore. They just want to churn out Jeeps, maximize their profit margins, and that's it.
But then Chrysler's the only brand growing like.
I don't know what to tell you.
Okay, so we move on. There's just one more chart here, which you have to look at it like on the computer because it's gigantic. But this shows these quarterly sales changes year over year for every brand. So the one funny thing I just noticed was that Ford is the only brand other than Tesla that's grown in sales every year since 2020. So it just keeps gradually growing.
Interesting.
But then I noticed that part of the reason for that is like every other company had a huge bounce back in 2021, and Ford didn't. Not. So it's just sort of like slowly got back, which seems like smart in some ways. But I mean, look at Honda's bounce back was enormous, and then it fell off a cliff again. Very weird.
Yeah, I feel like Honda has made some real bad product choices in recent years.
Honda might be the most hurt brand from the EV transition.
But I think they're losing it in other ways as well. The Civic, there is a push from every brand. Mazda is especially guilty of this, but even Kia, where none of them want to be seen as affordable, middle of the market vehicles. Everybody wants to be seen as a premium brand. You know what I mean? And like, I don't want to quote Syndrome from The Incredibles, but when everybody is special, no one is special, right? So if every vehicle is a premium brand, then that doesn't matter anymore. And I think Honda really fell victim to that, where they pushed the Accord, they pushed the Civic upmarket, they got rid of their the Honda Fit, they got rid of their CRZ, their more affordable offerings, and they're pushing into this higher end SUV, pseudo entry luxury thing. And I think it's a big mistake. I don't think that's what Honda is known for in the US. I don't think that's what they're ever going to be known for. I think it's going to be much easier for Kia to become a premium brand than Honda. And I say that just because I think most Americans never thought about Kia one way or the other. So when they get into a Kia, they go, oh, this is nice. When they get into a Honda, they have an opinion about Honda.
No,
and
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, even if they get into a Honda and they go, wow, this is the nicest car I've ever been in, they're still going to go, wow, this is really nice for a Honda.
I think that really explains to me how Hyundai and Kia have continued to grow. Because, yeah, you think Honda, you think good, reliable, but cheap. Hyundai and Kia that's sort of their market, but they've just sort of have added like a premium facade, or kind of premium, I don't know, kind
They
of
under
premium feeling
because
to
they had
them.
no
And they've
brand.
just sort of, they don't have, they don't have the historical, as you said. So they can be, you can just get in the car and be like, oh, I guess Kias are nice. Oh, I guess Hyundais are nice cars.
I
Like, I
never
didn't know
knew
that.
these were nice cars.
Like, I didn't have any
Exactly.
preconceived idea of what a Hyundai or Kia was. So
That's
I think
exactly
that
it.
that's really makes sense. And they've done a really good job design wise of maximizing that potential, I think.
Right. If
Lexus
you've
is fun.
had 5 Civics and you get into a new Civic, you're like, well, what the hell is this? This isn't a Civic.
Yeah, they're in a tough spot. It's a bit like Nissan in their very tough spot. Lexus for me sort of is the best kind of representation of like showing that we're getting back to normal. So you had the drop and then the rise and then slow drop, and it's basically a little above where it was in 2019.
Mhm.
And it's sort of like that sort of encapsulates the market pretty well. I think it's interesting when you go down here and you look at these changes in sales year over year, and then you get down
Yeah.
to Tesla, and it looks just again smaller than I had in my head picture. It's like you know, its big rise to 171,000 still puts it so far. It looks, I guess maybe because of the other bars too, it just looks so much smaller. I guess it's that historical
But it
sales. But
is.
actually the
It
historical
is.
sales is relevant, because as much as we talk about sales growing year over year, that there's not like the other brands they're replacing, the buyer is coming back often from a car. They bought a car 3 to 5 years ago, and now they're buying another one. They bought a Jeep 5 years ago, they're buying another one. Tesla doesn't have that. So each year it's got to find new buyers. It's got to get conquest sales,
Mhm.
which is the
Yeah.
hardest thing in the auto industry. So while the rise is significant, they don't have a 5-year-old. I mean, they have some, but they don't have many 5-year-old Tesla owners who are ready to buy their next Tesla again.
Right.
And that could be
And
challenging.
even if they did, they don't have a new one to sell them.
Yeah, and that might be. And I'm a 4-year-old Tesla owner, and I'm not planning to buy another one anytime soon. So I don't. I mean, it's there's a lot of people who bought a Tesla with low maintenance expectations, who are like, I'm going to keep it for 10 years. They're not
Yeah.
buying another Tesla next year. So it's an interesting. We'll see what that means, if that means anything, or if they continue to get enough conquest sales, that doesn't really matter. But yeah, that's it. And then if you really want to get a little more depressed about the EV revolution, you can come down here and see Lucid on the bottom and Rivian not far above it, and you're just like, oh wow, that's where they are.
Well, I think what's interesting is Rivian is actually giving Infinity a run for its money. And I would not have thought that. I would have thought there were a lot more Infinities on.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would too. Yep.
I think
Okay.
Infinity is going to be the next one to Fiat, and Infinity are going to be the next ones to leave the market.
But Infinity is part of, the Nissan Corporation, and it's been bleeding sales like Nissan for a while. So it's not in a good spot. Where is Infinity down here in the percentage drop? Yep,
Whoa.
fourth from the bottom, 42% drop since 2019. Oh, right above Nissan. Nissan's only 29% now because they're bouncing back a little bit. All right, well, that's it. This is a quick news brief. I don't know if we want to talk about this much, but somebody found and highlighted that there are now 4 countries in the U.S., all in California, 4 counties in the U.S. Yeah, there's 4 countries in the U.S., 4 counties in the U.S., all in California.
That actually sounds right.
Yeah, probably. That's true. That have over 30% EV penetration, EV market share. So Santa Clara County, 35% of new car sales are electric. Marin County, 34%, and then Alameda and San Mateo, 32%. So it's just, I think we look at U.S. sales, and they're like 7%, 6.9% or 7% of new car sales are electric, and it's not much compared to Europe, where there's like 20%, China 30%.
I still think that's a flawed metric, because if you take pickup trucks and SUVs out of it and you just look at sedan sales or crossover sales, EVs are over 25%.
Yeah, and if you look at specific smaller markets in the US, you can see there's just so much variation in what's happening.
Yeah.
So, and then outside of California, you do have also Boulder County, of course, progressive college town in Colorado, 22%, so 1 out of 5. Washington, San Juan County, Washington State, 22%. So, there are places obviously with, I mean, that's how stats work anyway. That would make sense. There are places
Yeah,
with much
I
higher,
want to
and
see
there's
the
other places
stats
with like,
without pickup trucks.
yeah, stats without pickup trucks would be interesting. This is another brief one, but this is just a really good article that a really big moment that Martin, who's an investor in Fastnet, highlighted, and I wanted to bring out. So Fastnet is a leading fast charging company in Europe, EV fast charging company. I think they modeled their fast charging network off of Tesla. They wanted to do it as well as Tesla or better. They are often solar powered, so I think they are a step above, but they have a lot of stalls. They have coverings on a lot of their stations to protect from the rain in the Netherlands. and they just make really good, reliable stations. They do great work. One of our former great people, Canan Bas, has worked for them for a while. Just a great company. But what they a lot of people thought, oh, they will never survive. They're burning too much money for years and years and years. Well, last quarter they got cash flow positive.
Oh,
It's
that's
a
great.
monumental moment for the company, and really, it's like when Tesla became profitable finally. It's sort of like that, It's like it's only up from here. All these years of, well, but will this company survive? Yeah, they did survive. They're cash flow positive, and there's a great thorough analysis here from Martin that you can read, but just really uplifting, especially in the EV charging sector where companies have struggled to, I mean, they're just always struggling to make money. You have to have high enough utilization of your stations to get your money back. And it's very hard to do that. But I remember interviewing the CEO and the COO in their Amsterdam headquarters several years ago, and they had a clear plan. Like, we need this much market penetration. We need like 20% EV market share, and then we'll finally start making money. I mean, making profits. And they planned it out. The one of the heads of the company, one of the co-founders, is former son of a former prime minister of the country, so he's got connections. They have
That always helps.
Great guy, really great guy, just doing his best to solve the climate crisis, and through Fastnet. And I mean, they've done it. I think it's just a really monumental moment for the company, so, and for the industry. Do you have any more thoughts on the EV charging? I mean, how far are we from that happening for any US company, right?
I don't want to give anybody necessarily free press, but like in the US, the number one challenge that any EV charging company has is the competition that they're used to. The experience, the fueling experience that drivers are used to is pulling up to a pump, sliding in their credit card, and getting fuel. And until you can go up to any EV charging station, swipe your card and plug in without an app, without any nonsense, without having to enter your credit card number or give them your email or whatever other nonsense they want you to do, until you have that appless experience, it's not going to take off. It's not going to grow. People are going to hate it. And they're only going to use the public charging when they need the parking space or when they're on the road.
Yeah, honestly, yesterday, a parent at our school, she came up to me. She's like, I think I need you to save me. And I was like, oh man, she needs a heavy box carried. What's going on? And then, and she's like, so my Mercedes is in for service, and they gave me an electric Mercedes loaner, and I can't get it to charge. And I was like, and she just went to a concert the night before, an hour north of us, came back. I thought she said she had 20% charge when she came back, but apparently she went in the morning to a charge point station, four stalls in front of a LA Fitness, and it didn't charge. And so I drove over with her to the station, and we got it charging. It was fine. She said she did it the same way. I don't know what, the station is not great, so it's might have been a station issue or something else, but it was at 5%. She had a Mercedes EQE SUV at 5% charge. They didn't give her any home charging. She asked, she was like, I'm worried about charging, what should I do? It's like, oh, just get this app. And that's all they left her with. Like, how is Mercedes doing that at this point? Like, I mean, Hertz is doing the same thing. We talked about it. Like, the service is horrible. And I brought this up because there's an Electrify America station 15 to 20 minutes away from where we were. And I thought, well, we could go to Electrify America station, but I don't know if we'll have trouble charging there. I don't have an
Yeah.
account. It's not free like the ChargePoint station there. And sometimes you're there and there's like 4 or 5 cars waiting for a stall. And I'm like, well, I'm not waiting around with her. And I don't even want to go there. I have to do other stuff. I have work to do. And so luckily she could just leave her car. She lived 5 minutes away. She left her car there for 6 hours and got charged up, and she's returning it today, and she's breathing a sigh of relief. And I'm telling her, I'm like, the number one thing that EV owners really appreciate about the cars is how convenient it is with home charging. I know that's not how
Yeah.
it feels right now. I know the situation is horrible when you don't have that, but if you had an EV, or if Mercedes just gave you a home charger, you'd be like, wow, this is so easy and convenient. But
Yeah, because then you just plug it in when you get home and you wake up and it's full. That's a dealership level
yeah,
problem.
we don't have to. We'll save it. We'll come back to
Save it. Yeah,
So
I can't.
yeah,
I love these things. So this is BrightDrop's electric carts that are used for grocery delivery orders. But in general, the news here is that they're using it for groceries, and this is an insulated device. It's got different orders in there, so you can move it around and things stay cool in a warehouse or a pickup location. But what's really neat about these, and there it is, the FedEx application. When they're using these boxes that have these e-bike motors in them as FedEx delivery boxes, they have a couple of pilot programs out in Toronto and I believe Toronto and New York, where this is the actual drop box that sits on the corner that you drop your packages into, and it just wheels itself onto the truck, and another one wheels down, and they're
oh,
powered by like a 500-watt Bafang e-bike motor. So like there's so much improvement, quality of life. You don't have lower back injuries, you don't
yeah.
have lifting injuries like you do, and that's ultimately what this is all about, right? This e-mobility and moving everything towards electrification. It's about having a greener, cleaner, more sustainable planet, but also genuinely making our lives easier. And when you eliminate this kind of life-altering injury for people, that's a huge win. I love seeing these when I see them on FedEx. I love seeing them at DHL. I'm gonna love seeing them at Amazon Grocery and everywhere else I see them. These are just great little things.
Yeah,
I love them.
that's immediately what I started thinking was, oh my gosh, this is gonna help so many employees not get back problems. And this is really, I think about this all the time. I'm not young, and my back has problems all the time for various things. And I look at these people my age or older working these jobs, and I'm like, how do they do it? How do they not have? How do they do this without having like serious back
Yeah.
problems? I mean, a
Well, the
lot of them
answer is
must
they
have it.
don't. They do. That's exactly it. They
Yeah,
don't do it without having serious
but
back problems.
still, like,
This is why we have an opioid crisis: is people
yeah,
getting
that's a
injured.
good point too.
One of the reasons we have an opioid crisis is people are getting injured on the job, and there is no safety net for them. They have to get back to work, so they're taking these powerful pain pills, and they're
Then they
doing the
get
best they
addicted to them,
can. That's it.
and then
That's exactly
struggling,
right.
and there's like, oh, this painkiller sure made me feel better. Maybe I'll take more of them. Maybe I do.
That's it.
But in any case, just the physical side of it, like, it's brutal, those jobs, and this is just a real exactly the same thing I was thinking. Just a huge uptick in quality of life enabled by the electric vehicle advancement. Yeah, and I hope to see it at the Whole Foods near me soon. Yeah. Anything else to add on that, or we move on? We have a lot.
No, I just love those things. Every time I go to the
Yeah.
ACT show, the last 2 years been in California, the BrightDrop guys usually have one of these as a demo, and I immediately steal it. Like I
Well,
like because you can kind of ride them,
we have that
and like
Honda
they're
Moto
my
Camp
favorite.
article around the same time frame here, which looks a lot like a
These
Honda
are
Moto Camp.
so much. It does, but these are so much bigger, and like, yeah, I want to put googly eyes on it and a smiley face and make it my
Uh,
friend. I
oh
love
my,
these things.
that was cool. If we had a real office at Clean Technica, that'd be a great office vehicle. Yeah, the only thing I would add, I guess, to so BrightDrop is the company we recently talked about, their electric delivery vans that Ryder is using now,
Yes.
and it's a GM company. So just make sure people are aware that they're doing a pretty good job here of electrifying different tiers of. I might even say they're a leader in
Yeah, you're going to start to see these things. You're going to start to see them in Target and Walmart soon, where people are doing stocking and inventory. Um,
I mean,
you know,
again,
and
just
it's
you think of how many people work in these kind of jobs and
yeah.
how hard these jobs are and how many people will benefit from this. I mean, this is hard to it's hard to not understate the impact this kind of thing can have.
Well, but think of the traffic impact too, because instead of parking your big diesel, delivery van on the side of the road, getting out and then using a key to open the lockbox and empty it out and putting a
Oh,
new
yeah.
in, you're pulling up. That lockbox is going in, a new lockbox is going out, and it's done in 50 seconds. The pilot programs were able to remove 2 trucks from each route.
Wow.
So we're talking about, 12 to 15 trucks no longer on the road, no longer blocking traffic, no longer causing back injuries. And they were able to do it, without sacrificing the quality of the service to the customer. So
Wow. That's
yeah, I
impressive.
mean, BrightDrop is doing some amazing stuff. And if you are a fan of efficiency, if you are interested in city planning and urban mobility, you have to follow along with what they're doing, because they're
And
really doing it,
frankly,
I think, better than anyone else.
even if you're the biggest GM hater, you have to respect and appreciate what they're doing in this space with
Yeah. Who's a
these and
GM
the electric
hater?
delivery van. Oh, there's a lot of them. A
Yeah,
lot of them.
terrible.
Yeah, I'm not a hater
My
in
God.
general, so I'm not in that bunch. But we talked a lot about small, cute electric vehicles in China in recent episodes, and this is the company that's been leading the way with Wuling. That's the one that had the Wuling Mini EV. I forget the whole line, Chuangdong
Yeah.
Mini EV, whatever.
Well, this is the Wuling Bingo.
So this is the new their new car, the Wuling Bingo, and it's already hit 100,000 sales. Just very cute little popular cheap electric car. So just doing well again with another model. Starts at about $8,700 in China.
That's cool. Yeah. I mean, I don't really have anything to add to this. It's a great little car.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's the
it's I'm sure it'll be popular in China. I don't know that it would sell in the States,
well, it's not.
but
Yeah, it's never
it's
comes
very
to the
cool.
States. It might go to some African markets, South American, other Asian markets. This is the question: like, how much can it be exported and sold in other countries? But yeah, Wuling Huangguang Mini EV is that huge seller that was number 2 or number 1 sometimes.
I feel like I've seen this before. Like I feel like
This
this is not the same car, but
I
that
know.
feels like a Renault Twizy kind of
Yes, this
thing.
is totally a Renault Twizy. This is apparently a Zev Yo-Yo, but I mean, if you've ever
No,
seen or I've driven a Twizy, it was a lot of
yeah,
fun.
I've rented a Twizy. Yeah,
It's not a real car, or it's a
no, it's a street legal golf cart.
it's yeah, it's something between a golf cart and a car. I mean, I guess you can call it a car, but not really. It doesn't have like doors and
Yeah,
windows or something, or
I
it
mean,
has
this has something.
something is there, but it's something between a golf cart and a car. But it's very cute. And Martin, again here from Netherlands, he's very excited about its potential in Europe. Again, it's never gonna sell much in the US, but and yeah, you use your own smartphone for the infotainment, which is a clever way to cut
Which
costs.
that is exactly what needs to happen.
Yes, I agree.
But I mean, you need to just use your own phone to do the thing. But like we've seen this, right? Like Saturn did the thing where you could change the panels of the car and customize it. I don't know. It just seems like a lot of recycled ideas. I don't see anything original here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Not
curious,
to
like
say that that's a bad thing. It just doesn't. It doesn't really seem like
it's got a
it
cute
just
little
seems like
face.
recycling old ideas. It does have a cute little face.
No, I mean, it's not going to be a top seller, but maybe it'll have some impact. I think it's cute and fun, but I wouldn't buy one. So I don't know.
No, you're gonna invest in it.
What's that?
You're gonna invest in it. You're gonna buy yo-yo stock.
No, I don't even. I'm still not even clear. Like, who is the? Oh, it's an Italian
Zev.
startup. Zev is an Italian startup.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, I've owned a lot of Italian cars. I really have. I've had 6 Lancias. Like I know and I love what Italian cars are, but if you remove everything that makes them great and you just leave Italian electronics, that's not a good formula for success
Yeah.
historically. Maybe that's changed, but no thanks.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say, but this is not an Italian car. I was trying to think, what is that allusion? And I was like, it was the line, I knew John F. Kennedy, and you,
You're no
sir,
John F.
are no
Yeah,
John F. Kennedy.
no, that's you know what? There's a lot of that here. It's like, I mean, I had a very privileged opportunity to drive, the cars that I've driven over the years. And like when I think of Italian cars, I do think of like an Alfa Romeo Spider or like a
Oh,
Ferrari 512, and then later the 612. And my personal favorite Ferrari was the 456 GT, but like this ain't it. I don't know what this is, but this
this
ain't
is
it.
an Italian EV startup that will definitely survive. Definitely.
Next.
I don't know if either of us have learned enough about this to talk about it in depth, but the general idea is that the Prime Minister of the UK has decided to scale back their zero emissions vehicles mandate plan from not selling ICE vehicles anymore in 2030 to not selling them anymore in 2035. I don't know. It's like, there's so much to talk about with this, and I don't want to get into it right now. So I think we've got enough. But oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
we're
But there is
good there.
Ford. One reason I decided to finally to include it for now is Ford has said that the UK should side with EVs and not be afraid of going electric faster than other countries. So the 2035 goal lines it up with I don't know if it was this article or another one with a bunch of other, like Germany, Netherlands. So it's just sort of just following the market is what it is. That's why it's hard to call any of this actually, like, say any of it really matters, because it's just sort of like they're following the market.
Yeah.
If it was 2030, they'd be pushing the market, and that's what's unfortunate, is that they're dropping that. And Ford's like, come on, push the market. And of course automakers are pissed because they've been planning for years now, for a few years now, to be fully electric in the UK by 2030. And there's factories, there's
Right.
battery plants, and now they're like, what? You're pulling the rug out from under us after we've invested millions or billions of dollars. So people are
But
not
do
very
you
happy.
think that's, yeah, I don't know enough about it, but it does feel very much like a nod to the EU. Like after Brexit, I think a lot of people are coming out of the nightmare that Brexit has proven to be, and they're kind of like, oh, maybe that was not such a great idea. Let's realign a little bit here with the rest of the EU. So we'll see.
Yeah, I don't have enough insight into it, but
I want to meet the drag queen named Rhonda Santis. I'm waiting.
I wasn't aware of Ron DeSantis, but that's a good one. Ron DeSantis, this is great. Oh my! So yeah,
$2
DeSantis
gas
wants
and
to repeal Biden's EV mandates, and it wants to have $2 a gallon gas in 2025. Oh, there was a great chart on that I saw somewhere, which was like, oh, DeSantis is promising to put us in an economic recession because if you
Yeah.
look at historical charts of gas prices, they're only that low when you're like in a deep economic crisis.
Well, I think that's
It's
accurate.
like, oh, so DeSantis is basically promising to put us into a deep economic crisis, which that
But I mean,
fits.
I think that is what he's going to do.
Yeah,
I,
that
I,
would.
I
If he
think
wasn't
on,
fourth or
and
fifth in the polls in the GOP primaries.
oh, I know. I mean, I gotta say this. Like, I think there is a real case to be made that major political disruptions, especially shifts towards populism and fascism, tend to occur when inflation is out of control and there is an economic crisis. If you look historically, if you look at what happened in Germany, if you look at what
Yeah,
happened in Italy, you had extended periods of inflation and then followed by a deep recession. And I think if you are a fascist douchebag like Ron DeSantis is, like Donald Trump is, like all these Republican bastards are, then you want that. And they can sell it as we could have $2 gas, but what they're really trying to do is steer us into fascism. And I think that's probably a pretty good way to do it.
yeah, a lot more the Venezuela path than they want to acknowledge, for sure. But they really I mean, it's a really good, impressing me again with your sociological commentary, sociopolitical and sociological, like Joe, like getting real quick, showing us how deep things go with this gearheads So it's a great match. A gearhead with a deep
a
sociological and philosophical
well. See,
leaning.
what you want to do is you want to get the you want to get the V8 guys real angry at the drag strip so that they'll bet bigger money against your ethanol Nissan, and then you can just crush them.
Yeah,
Or biodiesel, what's that?
yeah. Only thing, just
Well, let's get serious for a
I
second.
think
I want to
I
get
think you're
serious for a
chilling a little
second.
bit. Just lean a little closer to the mic because I keep it's
Oh,
getting a little
well, I don't
muffled.
even know where the mic is. It's over here
Oh,
somewhere.
where's the mic?
I
It fell
I
under
want to
your
get
beard.
yeah, probably.
It
I want to get
sounds like
serious for a second and say that I need to build an electric race car because I still haven't done that.
oh, I think that's been
I
done.
need
That's old. That's so
Yeah, but I haven't
2020,
had one.
2010. I mean,
I'm not the first guy to put his Nissan into the eights, but it got it into the eights.
that's a good retirement hobby for you.
There you
Uh,
go.
yeah, so we're ended with a couple of fun stories. Not going to comment much on them, but New York bus electrification plans are moving forward. They've got 53 overhead electric bus chargers coming. So just great news.
That's cool.
New York continues to be a leader in some of these electrification pushes. Oh, I thought, what happened? And this is a really fun one to end on. It should have been, frankly, a lot higher, I guess.
Why don't we do this one tomorrow? Because this is really worth
Okay.
spending some time on.
All right.
And Candela's got a great operation here. They've got a great hull design. They've got some really neat propulsion stuff happening. And there's more news in the hydrofoil and e-foil market. Brunswick Marine, which also owns Mercury Marine and a couple of other big yacht companies, they have bought Flightboard, which is another the little e-foil company. So it's really worth talking about. And
Cool.
I think we should make this a bigger segment tomorrow.
All right, so we'll just end with this teaser that they shattered a 24-hour distance record for an electric boat
By a lot.
going 483 miles or 777 kilometers. The previous record was a lot lower. I forget where is it?
It was like 200 and something.
Yeah. So we'll talk about it more.
Because I covered it when they did it, the old record. I covered that one. Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk about it tomorrow, and then I'll you know what? I'll walk around Move America, and I'll give you guys some live video from that as well.
Yeah, so we'll try a walking show tomorrow. See how it goes.
I mean, can't get any worse, can it?
It would be interesting to see the floor now that we've done a normal show and got some hints of what's going on there.
Now that I've bitched relentlessly about the lack of a press thing.
It was so small.
Yeah.
The previous record was 79 miles in 20 hours.
Yeah, it was like nothing.
So it's gone from 79 to 483. So Candela, like,
they really killed it.
All right.
All right, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
Enjoy Move. Enjoy Austin. Enjoy your air conditioning, assuming it stays on in the Hilton.
I was going to say, I'll enjoy the air conditioning. All right, later.
All right, cheers. Peace.